I represent a building in Addington, a commercial building, and taking Bernard Street.
John.
I'm Trevor Andrews. I'm here to represent Ainsley Terrace issues.
Thanks, Trevor. Daphne. Thanks, Daphne.
Good afternoon, I'm Joe Paul. I'm community board member to Heathcote.
Kia ora, I'm Amy Hart, the community board advisor.
All right, thanks everyone. So we don't have any apologies today. We're all here on time, which is great. Thanks. Declarations of interest. So is there anyone making any money out of any decisions made here today? No. Yeah, we wish. No. Okay. Confirmation of previous minutes. Do we have anyone wanting to? Tim and Lee? Yep. Cool. So now we come to the. Oh, yeah, sorry. All those in favour? Against? Abstentions carried. Thanks, Amy. Someone's got to keep the ship moving. Yeah. So we come now to the sort of the first substantive and the best part of the meeting, which is public forum. So this part of the meeting is where anyone from the public can come in and speak to the board about any issue they like. So we'll go off the order I've got in the run sheet here, which is Daphne Marsden from Project Esther Trust. Do you want to just come and take a seat up here in front of the microphone? And I believe you've come to give us an update about the trust and activities and things like that. So you've got 5 minutes, but and also just to turn the mic on in front of you, there's a little. Oh, Tim, thanks, Tim. Tim will show you. Cool. It's got 5 minutes.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko te erenga kura te manga, ko pāwaho te awa, no otatahi ahau, ko Daphne Gracie Marsden, toku ingoa, no reira, tēnā koutou katoa.
Hold up.
Thank you for the invitation to come and speak tonight about our mahi at Project Esther. We've got two values. One is to see women's lives changing, and the other is to see attitudes about women changing. And our service has a multiple range of expressions. We've got some temporary and emergency accommodation, and a wide range of reasons bring wahine to use the accommodation. Often it's homelessness or getting away from domestic violence. We take referrals from refuge. We've got women who use our accommodation because they're in unmanageable debt. Increasingly, we're seeing women come who have gotten into debt because their husbands or their boyfriends or their partners have been using their credit card, and they don't get left with any of the belongings that are purchased, whether it's cars or TVs. And recently we had a woman who'd withdrawn her KiwiSaver to pay back the debt. And that's not an unusual story. Other women that use our accommodation are coming through corrections or out of a mental health service. We also work with the chaplains at the women's prison, and we provide some support in the pastoral care area there, including providing Christmas presents, Christmas packs for every inmate. So it means they all get a gift, and often it's the only one that they do get. We've done that for many years. We also support Hikiti, which is a residential drug and alcohol program out at Mochikara in conjunction with Pathways Corrections and Odyssey House. And some of the women who are coming out of that residential program also have used our accommodation. We've got a drop-in that we operate, and on a Thursday it's run for women who are often older and they've got complex challenges that they have to face. Often it's their own disabilities, sometimes it's the disabilities of their children. We store and give away furniture and household goods to women coming in and needing to set up or start anew, or need a jacket or a blanket or bedding or whatever it is. We also subsidise some counselling on site, and we also fund some counselling in the local school for girls. We also provide period products. We've got a relationship with the period place in Auckland, and we provide those products to people coming in and collecting them regularly, obviously, and also to the local primary school. And as well, we provide to the local primary school and high school health packs, which includes a toothbrush, toothpaste, soap, shampoo, and things like that. And that has been initiated in the high school by the school nurse. We've also got a specialist area that we focus on, which is religious women who are experiencing domestic violence. So they're women who believe that they have to stay in their violent relationships or abusive relationships because of religious beliefs around forgiveness and being committed to their relationships and covenants and turning the other cheek and forgiving 70 times 7, all that kind of stuff. And it's an increasingly growing area, and the change in that over the later years has been a good change in that younger women are coming sooner than later. I think women of my generation used to sort of stay there and put up with it. Not that I've had to, that hasn't been my story, but and I'm fortunate. But yeah, of late it's we're seeing more and more younger women come sooner, so that's heartening. And so obviously in your positions in working in the community, you'll know that New Zealand women carry a huge load in terms of sexism and inequality and inequity. And our communities see that expressed in all the ways that we respond to. High rates of violence, sexual abuse, lower pay rates, exploitation in advertising and pornography. And we just need to look at the job losses that we had during COVID to know that there was a high representation of women. So the kinds of people that come to our service day by day recently we had a woman come with her 3-year-old that she'd chosen not to take to preschool that morning simply because she didn't have the school lunch, the preschool lunch that she needed to send with the little person. And I know that we work with the preschool, they send us referrals, and I know they would have been very accommodating and understanding, but she still felt too embarrassed to go there and explain her story. And she was also in a relationship that was abusive, had several other children, and she was able to get some assistance with our social worker to increase your chances on the social housing register to find accommodation, which is a good story, but also it means that somebody else was obviously having to go down the list. We get women who come to us from situations where they've come to the country and perhaps don't have their own residency or their own visa status, and so sometimes they are not able to access the benefit or access jobs. They're not allowed to work. We've had a woman in our accommodation of late who was in refuge for 3 years with her 2 children because she didn't have immigration status or a visa, and she's come out and that the immigration stuff is sorted, and she's just moved into private rental, and she's got 2 jobs to manage that. But and the children were able to also enroll and go to school. We get obviously women from different places. We've been working with Shakti, and for those women are in a very vulnerable position too.
Well, thank you so much, Daphne.
So those are the kinds of things that we're working with. So we appreciate the help from the council that we get.
Yeah,
The wisdom and the encouragement and the expertise, and yeah.
We're very proud to support you as a board. You know, your work is as important as it is wide ranging. I don't know if we had a couple of quick questions. Did you have a question, Sarah?
So just very quickly, firstly, thank you. And especially today, day after International Women's Day, for the mahi that you're doing. Is there anything else that we could do to help? Yeah, as a board or as council, as individuals?
Well, we appreciate being able to apply for funding. That would be our thing. But anything that you want to do in terms of role modelling equality and equity, in terms of women and justice, we are keen to support.
Awesome, thank you.
I'll leave our newsletter too.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Daphne. Appreciate the update.
Thank you.
Okay. We got It wasn't Vivian or Christine. Oh, here we go. Hey, Vivian. No, welcome. That's why I was a bit trying to find myself there. Cool. So you're here to talk to us about the city mission?
Yes, I believe you've got some slides to show for us.
Cool.
Thank you.
And we'll try to, apologies if I interrupt you, we'll try to keep it to 5 minutes just as we've got a few
Absolutely.
conversations to get through today.
Thank you. I'm Vivian Jackson. I'm the team leader of community development at the Christchurch City Mission. We're based just up the road in Roxburgh Street. You can see us down there in that corner, our flag out the door to let you know where we are.
Sure,
Sorry,
sure.
do I click? Thank you. Right. The community development team within the City Mission helps and supports Christchurch people in their own communities through a variety of projects across the city. We believe in strong and thriving communities. We employ and manage and support the community development workers in a number of hubs and community centres. These workers work alongside the community to develop their responses to the stated aims and aspirations of each particular community. This presentation is in response to the changes of the community board boundaries with the Sydenham Community Hub, which we lovingly have called the Rocks, now being included in this ward. We have a brief overview of the community development projects in this ward, Roxburgh Street and Manuka Cottage, with particular emphasis on the Sydenham Community Development Project. Community centres work on community development principles of cooperation, collaboration, being a power with rather than something for. We work with consensus decision-making and non-hierarchical relationships, and we rely on the input of many, including many volunteers. We bring together individuals and whānau to connect, to learn and grow, and our focus is on giving people the tools and skills to manage their own lives. It includes cooking demonstrations like in the slide. Community development looks for ways to harness the strengths of people to support them to reach their identified goals, to build relationships and feel more connected in their communities. We walk alongside people, we work with people, supporting their participation and involvement. Those that attend our hubs and centres are often struggling with a wide range of issues: social isolation, loneliness, unemployment, poverty, mental illness, poor well-being, and racism. We can provide individual support, advocacy, and navigation. By providing information, we are reducing barriers and enabling connection to the right services and supports. We offer a range of groups, projects, and activities based at each community's needs. These can include, but are not limited to, art and craft, cooking, walking groups, variety groups, card and board games times, parenting groups, men's and community sheds, foot clinics, grief programs, assistance with primary health care, community lunches, drop-in centres. What is offered in each community is defined and determined by each community's members. We can also, of course, link with other City Mission services, including the food bank, social workers, AOD counselling, financial mentoring, and life and work skills courses, and other relevant supports and services throughout the community. Manuka Cottage was established in 1993 and is, I hope, familiar to you all. A number of the things that happened there. The Sydenham Community Development Hub at 8A Roxburgh Street is a more recent addition. We had worked through the Sydenham Community Centre some years ago, and then that had fallen through. While we were not based in this area, our base didn't operate as a community development hub, but we have recently relocated to this building in Roxburgh Street and offer these services. The chat and play group on a Tuesday, often up to a dozen to 15 mums at any one time attending, and that means many small people running around. The Talking Cafe on a Wednesday particularly is attended a lot by those struggling with health concerns, particularly isolation and anxiety issues, coming in and taking advantage of the support from the local medical centre available there as well.
So sorry to interrupt, just so that we have enough time for questions. If there's any more sort of final comments you'd like to.
This was a recent set of reflections based on what it meant to be at Roxburgh Street, partly in relation to talking about the census and what home means. And just some pictures of a number of activities.
Beautiful.
Particular thanks for your and wishes for your ongoing support financially.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for the update. And yeah, I'm personally very familiar with Manuka Cottage and the work that they do there.
Yep.
Have we got any questions from the board? Cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks so much. It was very informative. All right. So next up, Trevor. So Trevor, you come to speak about some of the issues on Ainslie Terrace that have been concerned to you and your fellow residents.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, Deputy Board members, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for the opportunity to speak at this meeting. My name is Trevor Andrews and I've lived in Ainslie Terrace for the past 23 years. My brief presentation will focus on Ainslie Terrace safety and amenities. I'm frustrated and intend to be factual, not emotional. I am on record for raising major concerns about safety, speed and issues surrounding Ainslie Terrace for a number of years. My last presentation was with several present today at the Linwood Community Board meeting on the 28th of June 22. Just to refresh, at that meeting, I raised the following. Several official concerns to council. I was supported by photos. I believe some of the correspondence I've sent has been passed to members and what you see on the board up there now. My concern is issues raised in 2018, which are those photos there, can be replicated today. In other words, there is still a lot to be done if safety is our real focus. I totally endorse speed reduction as a major starting point, but Ainslie Terrace is a gateway to many situations, not in any particular order. It is a gateway to Hanson's Park for children and adult activities, schooling, after school weekend sport, walkways and cyclists. There is also an aged care facility where wheelchairs and elderly people are out on walkers. There is also a serious need to sort safe parking for visitors and staff in that area. Ainslie Terrace is also used as a major thoroughfare for neighbouring communities from Sumner, Redcliffs, Brighton regions to travel to Cashmere regions. In summary, I appeal to you as our community representatives to expand your safety review into Ainslie Terrace and review parking and other concerns that have been highlighted by residents from the street over years. I ask you to consider organising a meeting with your representatives and Ainslie residents to address wider issues that form part of safety and the presentation of the street. At that meeting, I felt received and those present were engaging and signalled an understanding of issues raised. Back to today, besides some 30k signs, nothing can be identified to address Ainslie Terrace residents' long-term concerns regarding safety and amenities. It is not just speed, and to put it bluntly, signage in its current state is having little to no effect. Speed remains a major concern, and as I do not believe there is enough signs nor awareness that the speed limit has changed. I will outline more in my suggested work. Another concerning point is the response a resident received from a traffic engineer, which reads in part, "There are no plans to install additional signs at this time. As per my previous email, all entrances to the new safe speed area will be gated signs to advise drivers of the new speed limits. Further, signs are also in place in advance for all 4 schools within this area. Signs are not being installed on individual streets. However, this will be monitored after the new speed limits that have come into effect. If further repeater signage is required to reinforce the new speed limits, this will be considered then and can be targeted to most appropriate locations. This is a consistent approach being applied with the rollout of these safe speed areas." Before I outline suggestions for you to consider, I must raise in the lead up to the local body elections, Phil Major and Sarah walked the Ainsley Terrace Street with some residents and acknowledged concerns residents raised. Now the mayor, as he is the mayor, expressed all sorts of easy fix ideas on that walk and made reference that it would not be a major cost to remedy a lot of our concerns. He was very convincing, knowledgeable with his roading background. I voted for him and Sarah, believing we may see some action for the street. He also campaigned on trust the council under his leadership. Speaking with several residents in the street recently, the only trust we can measure is a forthcoming rate increase. After many, many hours, meetings, communication with residents and council appointments, I'm back to square one. That came from an email from Hannah Ballantyne advising only you, the community board, can request funding to raise roadworks to improve parking and installing bollards. I find it daunting that residents have to appeal to a community board to get safety work done. What responsibility does the council take on this? This is the email that I refer to. As per my email in December, this is from Hannah Ballantyne to me. Roadworks to improve parking, installing bollards along Ainsley Terrace is an amenity improvement outside the scope of the safety program. Because of this, your elected members would have to request funding for it. Transport staff have been looking at options, feasibility, should this happen. For any questions about this, you can contact your elected members directly or ask them to prioritise this as a piece of work or arrange to speak to the community board advisor. My reference to frustration and that of fellow residents comes down to why have we not seen some action? Elected members and community board presentations have delivered nothing of substance to Ainsley Terrace. I ask you, where to from here? Or are we just a voice on deaf ears? So much good work has been undertaken in the Pawa community, but nothing for the long-term concerns raised by Ainsley Terrace residents over a very long time. What I suggest, work that would improve safety and amenities on Ainsley Terrace, and I'm not qualified to make any recommendations, I'm only one resident. However, for the following is put forward for experts to consider: short-term and urgent action. Bollards. Well, first and foremost, create dedicated sealed parking. Bollards where parking is not available to preserve the riverbank. More prominent road 30K signage and highlighted with red surround paint. One in particular should be in the front of the community church after the Apawa Road. There are many feeder roads: Apawa, Richardson, Clarendon, Garlands, Grange and Centaurus. Some have signage, not all. Ainsley Terrace has nothing from the Apawa end.
Trevor, sorry to interrupt. Can I suggest something here? Because as you know, we're not going to be able to make those kinds of decisions, recommendations at this meeting. Thank you very much for coming today. And it is really frustrating to have to bash your head against the wall repeatedly with multiple channels to get an outcome that you want. So I appreciate that frustration, and we are wanting to do the best. We want to get the outcome that is suitable for the community as well. With a list of specific recommendations, we might be able to refer those on to staff for advice directly. So yeah, thank you for coming today, and I'm sure we've got other questions for you as well. So Sarah had a question for you, I think.
Yeah, thank you. And I know that it is frustrating. We had that good meeting on the event before the election. It was good. If you're able to hand the piece of paper over so we can refer it directly to staff so that we can get those costings and things that they've done so that we can do the advocacy. There was one inaccuracy, I think probably in the advice, in that we're not the only ones who can advocate this in the budgets, because the annual plan submissions process opens tomorrow. And I think that getting everyone involved in advocating for this to be done through the annual plan process, as well as the community board, would mean that we'd have a pile of submissions coming through. Because it's during this annual plan time and the thing that we can allocate the budget to get the work done. So then it's up to us to convince colleagues to put the budget on.
I take that on board, Sarah, but look, this has gone on forever. I've been thrown around and around in circles, and to be told that I had to come here today or whenever to present to you guys, nothing would be done unless I come and present to you, is what that email told me. Because in amongst it all, we had a residents meeting, and in amongst there's all of the recommendations that were being put to council for the issues raised by residents, and nothing has come out of that. And then Hannah signs off on me, wishing me luck to present to you to get funding, and you're the only ones.
Well, it is good to come to the community board, because the work that Hannah's been doing has been all within the organisation, but it's elected members that set the budget. So elected members have to be able to connect to the issue, if you like.
I might put you on record indirectly when we had that meeting that money isn't easy, right? And now we've gone on. I've got other correspondence there going back to 2015, 16, 17. Where residents have raised exactly what I've been banging on about since 2018. And that's 2000. See those little kids trying to cross the road? This is the sort of thing that I live amongst. And I am quite passionate about it, and I might sound a bit emotional, but take a close look at those photos that I sent to the mayor at the time in 2018. Take a drive down Ainsley Terrace today, and everything's the same mud holes, the same potholes, and everything about the street, nothing has been done. So where to from here?
Look,
so I think we need to put a resolution up to get advice.
I'll explain. I'll explain where to from here. So appreciate that frustration and appreciate your patience. We will take the suggestions that you've put forward on board once you've circulated them around, if you haven't already. We will pass those on directly to staff for advice around, budgets, feasibility, that sort of thing. And based on that advice, as a board, we'll make a decision and advocate for that change in the annual plan process based on that advice. And we think that obviously, as Sarah said, that'd be a fantastic thing for yourself and the community to do as well, just to add voice to that submission in the annual plan. So thank you for coming here today, and that's our next step.
I think the thing is, sorry, Callum, in that. Because the access along the Greenway where cars keep going up is the Riverside Path. It's just green, and we've got bollards along the rest of the river through this nice area. And just as a final thing, sometimes it is about being a squeaky wheel, and submission numbers do count a lot in this process as well.
Untold residents make themselves known about the issues in Ainsley Terrace. I would give you a mound of paper on that. And honestly, it's sort of, it's almost like go up your rabbit hole and don't say anything is the way, it's come about. So many people, look, I'm not the sheriff of the street. I'm not the spokesperson of the street. I do try and make representations. If I don't like what I see, do something about it. And I've done my best.
You've done that. And I'll let you have the last word on that for now, and we'll get back to you about progress on that. But thanks, Trevor.
Through you, Mr. Chair, could we keep Trevor in the loop with the correspondence?
Absolutely. We'll keep you in the loop with that correspondence as well.
So I put some, basic wording up on the screen. Is everyone happy with that? Just to refer the issues raised to staff for advice, and then also the noting the issues for consideration when you're preparing your own annual plan submission.
And I think as well, it's if we don't want this list of suggestions just to go for a yes, no. What we're wanting is an outcome, whether it's that specific. Yeah. 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 Tim?
Just in the immediate short term, could we ask park enforcement to target the Ainsley Terrace area, as we do for some areas when there's been, or there are issues. The other thing is, could we put this on the list of our discussions with police and traffic when we meet them next, with regards to not just this area, but where we're putting 30k and 40k, that we need to back it up with enforcement and take, you know, they put cars or whatever and take speeding tickets and things like that. So if we could just put that on the agenda when we meet with them next, it would be good.
I just want to add one quick thing.
Sorry, Trevor, that's the end of it now. We're just going to discuss as a board about actions now. You've just got to keep this meeting moving forward. And all right, do we have any other discussion as a board? Okay. Does the resolution on the screen, does that meet everyone's agreement? Cool. Excellent. All right. Do you have a mover? Sarah? Oh, we don't. Oh, yes, public forum. Yeah. We'll agree. Cool. Excellent. Okay. So next up, we've got John Connolly come to talk to us about Bernard Street and Lincoln Road intersection as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Got a few notes here. I just put a few sketches, and these are not too plain, but they are to give you an indication of what goes on down there. Let's have a look. How many have I got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See if we can get that round, and same around the other side. Yep. Put them around there. I think that should. Have we got enough? Might want to put it.
Yeah.
Enough?
Yeah, I think looks like we've got one.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I want to thank Melanie Coker, who yesterday only I contacted, and yourself today, for inviting me to the meeting. I've been, I thought I was doing the right thing dealing with the engineers in there, and I've been pushed and shoved around and really got nowhere over the last 3 or 4 months since you completed the operation. It is a problem you've got here, and it's a seriously dangerous problem I'm talking about here, down on that corner. I might say that the upgrade of down there in Addington is first class. The bus lane, the thing, it kind of works, seems all right to me. However, what I've got here is a situation where the guys, the engineers, seem to know better than everyone and refuse to meet me on site. That's why I'm here. And so no other reason. I thought I'd follow it through. A former city councillor told me to come. So that's where I am. Now you'll see Bernard Street there. And just if I could link on Lincoln Road, go south of Lincoln Road, about 60 metres back, we've got a pedestrian crossing with traffic lights. Why they were put there, no one seems to know, but they're there. Back further, you've got one that goes into the community sort of village up further, another set of traffic lights, fine, that's got a lot of shopping in there. This one, you could sit there for half an hour some days and see no one cross it. However, when people do cross it, it does, particularly if it's in peak time, it does give people a bit of a go to get through those corners. If you look down the other end of the plan there, you've got Hannam Street. Now, there's traffic lights there, that's right on that Burger King corner. They were put there specifically to get the commercial people out of those buildings in peak times out onto Lincoln Road. That's that, what is that block called in there? Hazelden block and whatever, yep. Okay. This in here, I'm a prolific user of it, both on a bike and in a car regularly. I'm there most mornings early, mainly because there's a coffee shop down there which I own, and I'm quite often there. I represent 60 odd tenants in there, people that have got tenancies in the building. and a couple of other people that are down that road as well. You've got either side of Bernard Street as you go in there, two big buildings, one news hub, I think the other one, news hub and accounting firm, and on the right, 2 degrees. Both got car parks coming into Bernard Street. It is chaotic, and I mean that, and dangerous. Dangerously so that I've seen silly things happen on their corner. I recently picked a girl off that curb there who smacked her helmet open, and I had to give her a bit of mouth to mouth, honestly. And I had a phone call from her later on, lost her memory, but that's another, not lost her smell. That's not what I'm here for. I want to see, if I can, those traffic lights that are sitting there doing nothing, brought to Bernard Street. And hopefully, if there's an engineer, and I'm sure it's not, I don't know what that distance between the Bernard Street and the Hannam Street one, but if they could be coordinated, let people in and out, like the Hannam Street one, I think it would be absolutely fix everything. The second part of it there is, you'll see a little line on Bernard Street highlighted there. That's one of these bump bars again. Again, what did I see there happen recently? Someone in his big flash Porsche took a dive to get across, didn't realise the bump bar's there, took the whole of it. And I spoke to the guy down at the cafe, he's a regular visitor there, cost him 7,000, to fix that up. It shouldn't be there because you can't get over there. Now, previously, Lincoln Road did work to some degree because you had those lights over there at Hannam Street, but you had a medium strip in the middle there. So people could get over there and hide a bit and whatever. Prior today, it's dangerous. The second part of it is where the bus lane is, outside of those bus hours when you can't park there, there's parking. And of course, rightly so, keep the businesses going. However, I tried to put that line under Lincoln Road there, roughly where it is. When the cars are parked on Lincoln Road during the day, and there's people trying to get in and out of Bernard Street, you've got to back down to the railway line sometimes. It's quite stupid. So my request is hopefully for you guys maybe to see if you can get them, because I understand they've done an after construction, whatever,
a safety
coming up.
audit,
And I thought, well, I want to be heard. And I didn't know until this guy said to me, look, you've been talking to the wrong people. So here I am, guys. I'd say, I'd love you to go and get your teeth into it. Someone's going to get their hurt seriously. I'm saying that. There's been a few they can see it on camera, but they can also see on camera what's happening in that pedestrian crossing 60 metres back. How long does it take someone to walk 60 metres and still walk across a crossing?
Well, thank you.
That's
Thanks.
all it is.
Yeah, no, thanks for that, John. And you have
Thank you all for your time. You're busy people, and I do thank Melanie for just like that. Someone listened to me, and I've been banging away at it with those guys in there. Specifically, do I give a name or not?
No. Well, thanks for your time, John. You've come to the right people. Yeah, appreciate that. So what we're going to do, just so that my suggestion is we're not going to promise that everything you're asking for we'll do.
I only want one thing done.
But
that's what I said in traffic lights.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll request advice from staff on the outcome of that safety audit. I'm sure that those things are designed to turn up these kinds of issues. And we will also put your specific suggestions to staff for comment as well. Mel?
I was just wondering if we could get from the original report where that decision was made, which was a few years ago, it was 2019 or 18, why the lights were put there. It'll say in that report.
I've seen it all, Melanie.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's garbage. I've got to be fair. I don't want to be rude, but absolute garbage.
All right.
Someone didn't look at it. You only got to stand there for half an hour and just see some of the near misses that go on there. Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Mr.
Thanks, John.
Chairman. Appreciate the time.
Tim?
Through you, Mr. Chair, would it be good for me anyway to look at the original comments from why we were doing it for staff, and then what you turn the reality of now, so following the safety audit. Because that's why we have the audit, but it would be good to see the original thoughts of how it was going to work and the reality.
Yeah. That's a good idea. And I'm sure the safety audit will be measured against the original intended outcome as well. Yep.
Just make one more comment.
Sorry, John, that'll be all.
It's important.
I'm sorry, that's all. I'm sorry. Because we just have to keep going with this at the moment. So got Vicky Southworth from eCare. You got
Sorry, just the wording up there on the screen is everyone happy with that? With that wording?
I just going to replace the original.
yeah, in the context of the original. Yeah.
That's okay, I can access it on this one. Yeah, I will get it. in the comment.
Is everyone happy with the outline of what we've got up there? Anything else I'd like to add? Yeah, I can do
That was-
typos we'll fix
that was
later.
my-
Yeah.
The original.
Yeah. Tim?
I was thinking that when the original recommendations from staff.
It'll be in that report. Yeah. Okay, all right, so we're going to proceed with that. Cool. So Vicky Southworth,
Yes,
if I can use your full name. Welcome, Vicky.
thank you. And I'm just waiting for the presentation to come up. So I'm just realised I was expecting to be able to drive it from here, but I'm not going to be able to, am I? So can you just give me a. Can you sit on the?
You've got a clicker in front of you.
This to the computer. Yeah.
Yeah, I just gotta get it.
Let's get it onto the
Sorry, what did you
screen.
say the name of it was?
Okay, let me find it. I can take.
Yeah, more or less.
Mm.
That's great.
The clicker's not going to work there, is it? No. Cool. All right.
So thank you for your time and for having me come today. Is that working? Does this? Yes, that's on. So I'm really just firstly to say I understand that as a community board, you don't make your own submission, but
Correct.
you're able to make your own individual submissions. And then sometimes I think there's a submission from the council. But
Yeah, and my understanding is at the moment the council's not planning to do a submission on this plan.
and that's
Yeah.
fine. So really to say that, so it's annual plan season. I know City Council have their own as well. It's that time of year where you have heaps and heaps of things to go through. Ours is pretty much sticking to the plan that we proposed last year. It is an annual plan. It's not a really big change. And of course, we're really aware of the financial struggles that people are having and therefore haven't gone out with something really dramatic, which at times when you look at the impacts on our environment and our climate, it feels like we really do need to be doing something dramatic. But we sort of recognise that, you know, we've made changes last year. We've come out with the fare review and doing the flat fares proposal, which the government then came in kindly and did a 50% reduction for us. So you know, some of those things have become some savings. But
That's not working. I'll just do it.
here we go. So I just to jump to say with the Canterbury Regional Council, that's not always well understood. Sometimes we sound a bit like a consultancy being called Environment Canterbury. We're a very large region, 45,000 kilometres square, going from north of Kaikoura all the way down to the Waitaki. We have around 700 full-time staff equivalent and 3 offices, 6 depots, and 16 councillors, so 2 in each constituency. And I should mention my colleague is Paul Diche now. Broadly speaking, we're responsible for environmental regulation and enhancement, community resilience and public transport. I've added the enhancement part in there because I think part of our work now, and this has been a shift in our attitude really from the last term, is recognizing that actually we can't just hold the line anymore. Our environment has been degraded to such a point that we actually have to reinstate and restore and heal where we've come to. And that does take funding. Of course, a very large part of what we do is our regional plans, planning around resource use, setting bottom lines for things like water quality, and then putting the, processing the consents and monitoring and enforcing and all those things. We also do we're also doing we have a large amount of flood embankments and the like. We all know now precisely how important that work is, but we're also starting to shift the conversation towards more of a catchment-wide thinking, making more room for the rivers. We can't just put in embankments and hold the river back. There's a risk in that. Sometimes you go beyond your 1 in 200 year flood, and we need to know that we need to be thinking about those things and enabling our rivers to naturalize in places. And of course, public transport, which is a really, really, really big part of our budget. I'm going to jump over these because I know time's short, but we have in our annual plan, you'll see in the front, we've got our strategic priorities, which was developed with the last council in last term. And that's both the priorities and also our transformational change. Here we go. So we are looking to spend $270 million this year coming. Of that, 165 million is rates, and that is a 10% rise on last year. So having said we're aware of financial impacts on people at the moment, that is bearing in mind that we've got a substantial amount of inflation going on, but also we signaled, well, we've had a large flood, which we have to restore embankments in the meantime, while we then work to being a more sort of a more holistic, working with our rivers, not just holding back the floods, and the fair prices that we were looking to change. Those things are still coming through. And we're looking at the end of the government's reduction in July, other than for key parts of the community. And so we're considering how we're going to change fares and so on. So those were all budgets that were put in place last year, and that has an impact then following on into this year. So we're essentially carrying on with what we said we were going to, and a 10% rise is where that lands. We've also been putting more money into the general reserves, which is a really important part of having resilience. You can't predict what's going to happen. It's important to have some additional reserves, and we've run ours down quite considerably over the COVID period. So just to say, we have general rates, we have targeted rates and uniform annual general charges, and user pays and external grants. So user pays and external grants makes up around 105 million. And then the rates 165, and targeted rates, we have public transport, so urban populations pay for that. We have pest control, a lot of that would come from our rural constituents. So depending on what you benefit from, there is quite a difference in what you pay to recognise those things, and then some general charges. So in real terms, just to give you a sense of some different types of properties in this area within Christchurch City Council's boundary. We have, for example, a property in urban Littleton valued now at 700,000, would be paying $527 a year to us. And that is a rise of $60. And that includes the public transport. That does have a pest-free Banks Peninsula component to it. We do have a targeted rate for Banks Peninsula for that. And you can just see the difference. So the rural rates don't include public transport, for example, but would have a pest component. So our annual plan draft is available online. There are some copies around. I don't know if there's one in this library. It's online. You can make a submission, but there's also, I've got some feedback forms here and leaflets. You can email in. We do prefer online, but that's not compulsory. We make it available to people to submit in whatever form is easiest for you, because one of the really key things as well that we're really trying to push is engaging with our communities, being more connected, and hence why I'm at the community board, which we don't have a particularly regular catch up, but at least I can come once a year. And at other times, if you ever want me to, so stay in touch.
Appreciate it.
Got it.
Cool. Oh, that's everything. Awesome. Oh, thanks, Becky. Sorry, I was just waiting for the next slide. Sarah.
Thanks so much, Vicky. Good to see you presenting. I just note that while the percentage rates increase might be higher than the city council one, you're starting off a much lower base. So it's actually a significantly lower dollar value.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes.
Thanks.
So our actual take, the range between those urban properties, you're looking at somewhere between $6 or $7 a week up to $12 a week, total rates paid this year. And the addition is like less than $1 for most properties, or around about $1. Yeah. Oh, and just to say, it's really important to comment on the things you like about what we're doing. So for example, we started a contestable fund last year, 2 years ago. That's been really well subscribed. We have the zone committee and funds in there. Hesbury Banks Peninsula, I don't know what things we do that you particularly recognise as being valuable to you as communities, but if you can comment on those things, that really helps us to ensure that they stay in there, because there is a debate and this is just draft and it can shift. And when things are tight, then some of those things you like might be the things that are on the chopping board.
I'm sure that this table can empathise with that.
Yes.
Kia, do you have a question?
Yeah, just quickly, I guess, obviously the public transport stuff, one side of improving uptake is increasing or decreasing fares, obviously. The other side is, I guess, increasing reliability. And obviously we've had some real struggles in that space. One of the, tight labour market, and it's great that obviously moving to living wage is helping with some of that recruitment stuff. Do you think that the current plan invests enough in public transport to address those reliability concerns, or would more investment be helpful?
Oh, look, the reliability issues at the moment is around bus driver retention and recruitment, and that is a shift. And actually, the base rate is now higher than living wage, right? And so that is having an effect, and it's gone above the rate at which we can now also apply for immigration. So we're advertising overseas, and we are now in a position where the number of drivers who are coming in through the training program is more than what we're losing. So that's great. We're heading up. So that's good news. In terms of, so that just fixes the reliability. But I think most people, depending on what route you're on, would probably agree, or certainly I hear, that the coverage is not sufficient. We have elderly, aging population who can struggle to get to what seems like, if you're fit and able, or can jump on a bike like quite a close bus stop. But actually for someone who's aging, who's maybe no longer able to drive because of that, so if we want to actually have a really high quality bus or public transport network that meets the needs of people who have aged and can't drive anymore, teens who want to get around, people who want to do their bit for climate change and use the bus without having an enormous penalty in terms of their time commitment, then we need to be putting in more investment, and I won't beat around the bush on that. And there's good technology. There's like on-demand transport that's coming through now. We're talking about the mass rapid transit through Greater Christchurch Partnership. These are the things that will give Christchurch the sort of network that some of the cities people might have gone to around the world have. And if we want to get to our decarbonisation commitments and reach those, then we need a really good public transport system alongside excellent cycling infrastructure and pleasant streets to walk on with urban trees and all those other things that make us able to give up our addiction to our cars.
Lee? Yep. Final question.
Yeah, I had some involvement with Cashmere Stream Working Group. I know that's probably a really good example of something that we really understand the problem, or a lot of the problems in terms of retaining sediment at source, plantings. Is there anything in here that's going to support that Forward Works programme, especially around the adventure park and those type of areas? I know we've got a lot of budget being thrown at other areas of Cashmere Stream, but they're missing kind of pieces. Is there anything here? I know that's quite specific.
I mean, the contestable fund I mentioned, and also the zone committee has some funding to do, support community projects that the community want to apply for, which can include plantings, which support sediment control. Through the support of the Whakaroa Healthy Harbour Programme, there's going to be a fair bit of work and research around sediment management, which has can be transferred knowledge across over the hill as well. And we certainly have teams that understand about these things and will engage. It's always a bit messy, isn't it? Where does the city do their thing? Where is it us? I know with Cashmere Stream, there's been government funding as well, hasn't there, through MFE. So, yeah, but no, I'm keen that, and I want to ask, yeah, I'd love to hear support for urban rivers. That would be great. Anyone wants to put that into their submission, please do.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vicky. Cheers.
I don't want to put Vicky on the spot, but just ask with our staff.
Yep.
If we were able to get some information and some clarity around the just the roles and responsibilities between ECAN and City Council when it comes to our urban rivers.
That's a great question.
True.
Yeah.
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 Where's the line?
Yep.
Yeah. I know it's tough and there's stuff happening at the moment. So I just thought I'd, yeah.
I know we have a level of service to work with, including City Council.
Yeah,
on
but it's
the
that,
program,
but it's the
exactly what-
signage and all of those other things that we're debating at the moment. It would be good to
All right.
have some clarity.
Thanks, Sarah. We'll get that in there. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so moving on to deputations. We have no deputations. We've got no petitions either. We've got quite a few pieces of correspondence. Might be worth just going through these one at a time to get action items from those. Have you got?
Is it useful for me to just give a brief summary? of all
Yeah,
of
I
them?
think so. Yeah, I don't know. We don't want to read
Yeah.
them all,
Yeah.
but yeah, we'll take them as read, but it'd be worth at least a refresher, I think, for everybody. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Thanks so much, John.
Make my phone call? Thank you, because there was something very important I missed. And that's 84 houses been built there and people ready to move in right now in Bernard Street.
Thanks, Trevor.
so,
All right, back on track, team.
so stop me if you want to, agree on a action
Yep.
for one at a time, but if not, I'll just go through all of them. So the first one is around traffic safety at the Hunhey Road, Rose Street intersection.
Yep.
Which.
A well-written piece of correspondence.
Yeah. Put that in as a resident.
Yeah.
So with a different hat.
Yeah.
Basically, just concern around safety for cyclists and pedestrians in particular, crossing the road there, very busy road.
Like this is, it's a well-trod issue for this board. Did we have an action? I remember us talking about looking at the whole of the road as sort of a single. Tim? Yeah.
Could we get from our traffic engineers if the traffic is increasing there, because we're getting that right everywhere? It would be good to know if that issue is rising or becoming more difficult rather than it's just becoming more. If there is more traffic actually using it, with the infill and the expansion of the centers.
Yeah. We've talked about this intersection before, along with other parts of Hunhey Road. Would it be worth having a conversation with Tony just around the general state of play with that road as a whole, because it's the same issues all the way along with pedestrian safety. Cool. All right.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, my laptop is crashing, so I can't. But I will come back to that to make sure the wording is what you're wanting. The next.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Something that, Carol, always just mentioned this, it's just the rank intercessions fine. I know it's not perfect, but it would be nice if we put down, what the most recent ranking of intersection.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost mythological, that list of the safety, the order, but no, yeah. It would be good to see it as a board, yeah.
Just flagging the road street itself is part of the safer speeds as well. So that road itself will go down to 30, but I know we're saying a lot of problems are crossing for the takeaways and the dairy, but the road street will go down to 30 if that proposal goes through as well. So might ease some of the problem.
Okay. So basically for that one, you're wanting advice on the ranking of the safety of intersections across the board area.
specifically with this intersection and where it sort of fits in
Right,
terms of
yeah.
priority, and then also
Mhm.
with reference to the fact that the speed limit will be changing and whether that would have an impact. Oh, and yes, and the changing traffic levels. Yeah.
And then you were also wanting advice on sort of just a broader look at the length of Henry Road and traffic safety issues along there.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a, yeah, specifically, yeah, crossing the road as a pedestrian. Yeah.
Okay, specifically pedestrian crossing. Okay.
Happy with that?
Sounds good. The next one is a letter from the Mount Pleasant Tennis Club. So that's just detailing quite a bit of vandalism that's they've been experiencing. There are some sort of more major issues like the water heater being removed, which resulted in the water and gas pipes being left exposed, which flooded the clubhouse, and outdoor tables stolen, cut nets, smashed bottles. So there's obviously quite a bit of activity happening there. Do you want to talk about some actions now, or?
They were looking for, sort of sounds like sort of almost set dead style changes to the environment as a solution. Oh, sorry, I missed that.
Yeah.
Tim.
Yeah, the expectation from a discussion that she and I had, and which prompted her to write the letter, was that it would be good to have someone knowledgeable do a little audit of the area about what could be simply done to reduce the risk of vandalism. So that's what the discussion came up in the discussion, and that's what will be expected.
Cool. Should we request that that SEPTED report be done?
I wouldn't maybe, yeah.
Or just whatever the appropriate,
Yeah, just sort of an assessment of how to improve. How to decrease vandalism.
Yeah, of the tennis club and King Park area.
And King Park.
Okay, cool. Tim?
Could we get a specialist staff member to go and visit them and go over it with them and work with them?
Well, yeah, I imagine that would be what would happen if you were to do an assessment of it. Yeah. Are they requesting? They're
I
not.
was just thinking sometimes it happens exclusive of an organisation. They just go down there and have a look, like parks, etc. But it would be, obviously there's an established club there, so it would be good to meet on site for whoever that person is, to get a better understanding of the environment. Perhaps used by the.
Okay, Grace? Sorry, Tim, just Grace?
Would also like to suggest that we ask them to look at Scott Park at the same time, because there have been increased complaints, which is across the road and down the hill, but they could potentially be linked, the same people.
And I think
Sorry, Sarah, Tim, did you have something you wanted to add to that? Cool, yeah. Yeah, look, I think it would be great if, as Tim Scandrett suggests, that we have if there is an on-site, that we invite members to that as well. Yep. Sarah?
I think the Scott Park thing, I think I heard from residents that while the gate is being locked at night, it's actually locked so late now and unlocked so early, kind of that actually it hardly makes a difference. So if we could get some, so if we could get that done at more appropriate hours, that would be great.
Right. Did you want to summarize?
Yeah.
See if we missed anything, Amy?
Yeah, I will. So, just request a site visit with staff, with the club and, board members. Ask for staff advice on how to reduce vandalism and increase safety around the club, and also in King Park and Scott Park, and also look at, getting the gate locked and unlocked at appropriate times.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, happy with that? Thank you.
Okay. So the next one is a letter from a resident on Worsley's Road, who's suggesting that with all the people who walk up there, that it's a really nice spot to have a seat and drinking fountain installed in one of the little patches of grass up there.
Yep, something that aligns with our board priorities. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, just refer to refer to staff for advice.
Yeah. Sounds good. And the next one is some issues on Darley Street. Basically, the resident who's outlined that there was earthquake damage to the gutters and the road edge, which caused some slumping.
Yep.
And then this has subsequently caused water to pond and potholes to form. I've had a little bit of initial staff advice come back that staff are aware of this issue and are in the process of talking with different parts of the council, because it would involve sort of a number of units, and are planning to put together a plan and implement that before winter. But you know, it's probably still worthwhile to ask for that advice more formally.
Yeah, it's just, we'll follow that up ourselves as well, and it would be good if the resident, when it's appropriate, as soon as it's possible for them to be informed of that as well. Because they're,
Yeah,
That's my team doing that work, so.
do you want to come, did you want to come to speak to that?
Sorry, I'm Steve Guy. I'm the maintenance manager for the city street, so I'll be presenting in 25 minutes. But that street anyway has come up, it came up across my desk past couple of days. We have looked at it. One of the challenges you have on that street is there are only sumps at the very far end, and where you've got a centralised area that's slumped due to earthquake and the trees dropped it all down. The only option we've got is to raise the curb and channel on the footpath and the road to go with it. But we will look at doing that before winter.
Right. So it's a bit of a major.
It's not a major job. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge to make sure we can get enough fall to send the water to the sumps, but we're putting a plan together.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Okay.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, that's hardly ever get service like that.
I think there's one more here. So also a letter from Ultimate Care Bishop Selwyn, which is a rest home, and they're having issues with vehicles parking partway over the entranceway, which is obviously a bit concerning with emergency vehicles come in and out, as well as just for residents. So.
Yeah. Okay. Let's
Through the chair, is it
yes.
as simple as just requesting some yellow lines either side of the?
Yeah.
They've also requested the grid yellow markings as well, I think. So it's probably just something that we refer to traffic for advice.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it? Yeah, are they?
Oh,
Thanks.
Yep. Sorry, Keir.
I was gonna say, because I was gonna say that, are they asking to stop? Are they asking for like people not to park? Or are they talking about when the traffic backs up and it ends up?
Oh, no, it's parked cars.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, let's
Okay.
refer for advice.
Yep.
Happy with that? Cool.
Okay. That's it. Those are all the items that correspond.
Awesome. Thanks, Amy. So Kerry from Graffiti, is Kerry here?
Oh, actually, she is off work today, so it's Belinda.
Oh, sorry, Belinda, welcome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You guys been winning awards recently, have you? Yeah. Congratulations.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. Nice. That's a combined effort. So thank you for having me. Kia ora, I'm Belinda and I'm not the team leader. Kieran Finlater is the team leader. So the reason for my visit was just to introduce ourselves as to, particularly for the newer members on the board, just to give you an overview of what we do and how we do it. So I will keep it very brief, and I have got some pictures, etc. So just to make it a little bit easier. So who are we? So we're based at the old Linwood Service Centre in Smith Street. Kieran, as I said, we've got a team leader, a graffiti projects coordinator who's recently been appointed, who will start in end of March. We have a technical and business support officer. And then there's myself, who's a graffiti volunteer coordinator. So what we offer is we have business support resources such as wipes, other product and paint. We provide information to the police and stakeholders and boards. The snapshot, I'm not sure, Amy, whether you get this and distribute that. So if you're wanting a more drilled down report particular to your area, Kieran's happy to do that. So you just need to ask for that. We're involved with mural projects. We go into schools and we do lots of presentations and go to community events, etc. So volunteers, that's my role. We've got several tiers of volunteering. So we've got adopt a spot volunteers. They look after a particular area. I'm very lucky. We've got some incredibly generous people out there that just do it because they want to. We've got those who look for graffiti, who we call tag spotters. They're mostly using the Snap Sensolve app, which is fantastic. We've got artists and mentors. We've got a recently created tier of volunteering called Friends of the Graffiti program. We've got access to all of the graffiti reports that come through to the contact centre, regardless of whether they're volunteers or members of the public. And so what we were finding is that there weren't many reports coming through from non-volunteers. So we thought, well, what can we do that is something quite informal and doesn't require induction and annual reviews, etc. So essentially all you need to provide is an email address, and for that they get the snapshot every month, and they get a twice yearly newsletter. So there's been a bit of an uptake, and we've had a marketing meeting yesterday as to how we can really promote that. One of the things was we want to put it, when you get a response from the contact centre, what we want to say is thank you for contributing to keeping Christchurch beautiful. By the way, would you like to be a friend of the graffiti program? Just as another platform. Cool. So because we just thought those people that are taking the time to report graffiti may be interested in knowing, you know, the impact of their volunteering. We also have community groups and business organisations that want to do a one-off community cleanup. BNZ is a classic example. They'll give us 40 staff and they'll say, look, we've got a whole day. So we're really lucky to accommodate that. We have the Chorus Project. They give us money to paint out their top 10 frequently hit sites. So you may have seen some of those around in the community. If there's a particular box that you might see, whether you're not sure whether it's Chorus or Enable or Vodafone, let us know and we can give consideration to that. So Vodafone have just recently come on board with letting us paint some of their murals with some of their boxes with murals too, which is really good. A Make Art Not Marks campaign in the library at Shirley, which was fantastic. We also attend to family group conferences and community justice panels if council are victims. So we'll seek reparation. What we also do is if there's somebody there that has a artistic flair, we will then get them to do any kind of service to the community, but then we'll turn it into a positive and say, well, look, by the way, would you like to have some art? Would you like to have some involvement with the mural? So that's a good outcome. The stakeholders that we work with, Resine, fantastic. They provide us with a huge amount of recycled paint at no cost. And it's not just the old Battleship grey colours that we used to get. It comes in a massive variety of colours, which we're really fortunate for. And it's all free. They are so good to us. They deliver it to us as well. And they give us, like the volunteer program, a whole heap of goodies, which I'm really grateful for. Volunteering Canterbury, it's where I mostly get my referrals from. We're also on the Christchurch City Council website. City Care, Orion, Vodafone, the police, Canterbury Neighbourhood Support, which I'm a member of that board as well. Keep Christchurch Beautiful, and the community patrols. So I'm just thinking, listening to the netball, the tennis club, it may be worth, I don't know if they've made the police aware of that, but certainly if they did, they could direct the community patrols to do a bit of a reconnaissance of that area. I'd like to think that if there was any graffiti on there, that they would let us know, because we've got a database with known taggers on there, so we could get a match. If we did get a match, we could send that information to the police. One of the messages that Kieran really wanted me to pass on is the importance of reporting graffiti. If it's not reported, it's not likely to get removed. So if the graffiti stays there, it will only attract further acts of graffiti and then other acts of graffiti vandalism. So there's a number of ways to report graffiti. Some people don't like using the app. You can walk into the service centres, you can email, you can use the website, you can phone it through too. So it's catering for as many people as possible. If you see an area that would be worthy of a mural, you just need to let us know. Or if there's a particular area that's getting hammered with graffiti, just let us know and we can look at, maybe offering our services in there as well. So these are the photos I thought I'd just share with you. So this is the kind of artwork that this one here has been tested. This person's in Parkins, that's a little for a spots. I mean, there's different levels of professionalism. A lot of our graph artists, it's their full-time work. Yeah, I won't go through all of them.
It's a beautiful
So-
one on Selwyn Street near the. Yeah.
Oh, there's,
yeah.
yeah, one of it, yeah, so there's
Yeah.
another one there. And then what I've put together for you, any opportunity is a good opportunity from, you've got a little bag of goodies here, don't worry, there's not a test. Might be though. You could have a competition to see who can report the most. This is what our volunteers who paint over graffiti are required to wear. And we have had a situation where someone was painting over graffiti, someone thought they were the tagger, called the police turned up. I'm like, no, I'm actually painting over it. But now they were meant to be, well, they weren't registered with us at the time. These are the little packs that we give out to business owners. So if a building if somebody reports some graffiti and it's not within our scope of works with the contractors, that report gets fed to us. Donna will contact that asset owner and say, hey, look, we've got a report of graffiti. Do you want some help? Would you like some product? Would you like some paint? Would you like a recommendation of a social enterprise group? Because at the end of the day, we just want the graffiti removed. And unfortunately, there's no legislation for us to make them remove the graffiti, but we have powers of persuasion. So sometimes going face to face is definitely worth it. So in these little bags, there's not too much in here, but one of the reasons for the bags is that it promotes the different ways of reporting graffiti. So that's us. We have an open door policy. So if you ever over our way, feel free to call it.
We're being recruited. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, gosh, yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
So that's so thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. No, I had no idea that the program was that wide, and especially the
That's
sort
why
of the social
out.
side of it.
A
Yeah.
lot of people, we're trying to steer away from the graffiti police.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
part of our role, but there's a huge
Mm.
that's
Mm.
you did. You want to come and volunteer? Absolutely, no, not paid. Oh,
Cool. Oh, hey,
well, thank you.
I mean, just before you go, is there any other questions or Sarah? Yeah.
You mentioned that we could get them more local data. It would be great if we could just get like either a ward by ward or suburb by suburb. It does come through occasionally. We get those.
It's often in an area report.
Would you like a ward?
No, it's just that Belinda said that.
Yeah.
It's sort of tailored.
It can tailor, we can drill it down to tailor that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just don't know when the next one's due.
I think I just emailed one around.
Yeah. Yeah, there's one recently.
Oh,
yeah.
look it up then.
Tim?
Yeah, just one question. Is it getting worse or better?
I don't think graffiti will ever go away. It
No.
comes in peaks and troughs. So you've got certain times of the year where it will be more. Certainly like with daylight saving, summer, it's going to increase. School holidays, there'll be a noticeable difference. Well, that's not just school age kids that, yeah.
But big picture, better now or worse
There's
than
more
5 years
reporting.
ago?
There's more reporting, which is great.
Excellent.
We want more reporting because it means that it will get removed.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
but I'll put a note here.
Thanks, Belinda. Any other? Cool. Appreciate that, Belinda. I'm sure we'll be in touch in some shape or form.
Yeah, well, we're here to help.
Oh, Lee? Oh, sorry. Yes, yeah, sure. Well, let's have a wee break, eh? Yep, awesome. Yeah. All right, we'll resume at 25 past. Recording's going again. All right, everything you're saying is being recorded. All right. So we've got Sally Ann to talk to us about road stopping. No stopping. Oh, no stopping. Sorry. So I got road stopping on the brain. Yeah. Thanks, Tim.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so it's the report, we're just proposing to extend the broken yellow lines on Beachville Road, so yeah, I don't know if anyone's got any other
I think we can take
questions.
the report as read. Yep, that's pretty sensible and straightforward.
Yeah.
So Sarah's moving, got a seconder. Tim? All those in
Fabulous,
favour?
thank you very much.
All right, thanks so much. Thanks for waiting. Cool. So next up, it's the DRF Heather. We've got a bit of a situation.
Where's my calculator? Oh. Right, so. Hang on. I need
Thanks,
this
Elaine.
to see. So this report is actually for a request for a top up to the Youth Development Fund. So the current amount remaining at the moment in the Youth Development Fund is $850. And I have in front of me 1, 2, 3, at least 8 applications for Youth Development Fund applications. Some of them have already been sent out to you. I'm not going into details about them, but there is insufficient money available right now to cover the number of applications which are waiting for you to have a look at as a board and give your approval or not, as the case may be for them. So we've had a discussion as a team and we're recommending an amount of $2,500 that be transferred from your discretionary response fund to the Youth Development Fund to cover the applications which are currently in. If you add that up with the money that's already there, that will give you an amount of $3,350 for your YDF. Currently, I have, based on staff recommendations and using the same process of the ones that you've already received and the ones that are waiting, an amount of $2,600 YDF applications waiting for assessment.
Thanks, Heather. I mean, I don't think this is going to be particularly controversial, but it might be a good opportunity to talk about, you know, why we set the limit, because obviously it's all this sort of a pot of money that we're shifting money around between. And whether or not, I mean, is this like more than usual number of
I think
applications or?
I think what's my view would be that over the last 2 years due to COVID, there's been very few Youth Development Fund applications received for anything which youth are connected to, which meant that at one point, the money that was allocated to the Youth Development Fund, it was actually coming back to discretionary response fund to be used in that way. Due to the funding situation, which we've found ourselves in, the amount that was recommended for the Youth Development Fund probably was less than would usually have been put in past years, because the amount of funding available is less than what has been available in the past years. So this is something where you have an opportunity. There has been a big increase from this time last year because opportunities are now available for young people to travel again, whether it's to Australia, the United States, the North Island, or within the South Island. So the situation that you just need to be aware of is that it is coming out of your discretionary response fund. And if you do support the $2,500, that only leaves you with $9,913.66 for the rest of your financial year for your discretionary response fund applications going forward. Currently, I have 2 discretionary response funds applications waiting for assessment. One, which is a requested amount of $3,000, which is actually
a group YDF, which I would need to transfer to DRF, and there's one waiting for Simeon Park. So you just need to be aware that taking one means the other reduces, and that's a decision for you to make today.
So, sorry if I missed that. How much headroom have we got left in the DRF this financial year?
So the current amount available for allocation as of writing this report is $12,413.66.
Right, okay.
And on the basis of the staff recommendation of $2,500, it would leave you with $9,913.66 for now till the end of June for your DRF.
Yeah. It's not so bad. No. All right, any other questions or? Cool. Did you want?
I just think of it, I think should be moved by the chair.
Yep.
And with regards to, what's the new norm following COVID? I think we just have to kind of give it. I think what we've done with regards to the levels is fine. And if we've got to move a wee bit around, then it's fine. But let's just see in 12 months what the new norm is.
Yep.
So
great.
Lee?
Just very quick, and just to acknowledge that costs have obviously gone up as well. So
yeah, that's true.
Cost of travel, has gone up exponentially. So
it's true. And just so that you're aware, if you support the recommendation of the 2,500 plus the 850 and 2,600 would be the amount that I would be putting forward for staff recommendations to you. That would leave $750 remaining as of 2 weeks' time.
Right, yeah, okay. Let's do
And
it.
at that point, you may need to make a decision as to whether or not you want to cut off the youth development fund at that point, saying no more money will go into it, or whether at that point you will require someone to come back again with a report for a further transfer of funds.
Sarah?
I suggest that we potentially look at adding an extra $500 so that if we need to, we can do more youth development funding without an extra report to switch the funds over.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the year, if we're running short of funds, it's easy enough to pull it back into DRF.
Yep. Grace?
The recommendation that staff have made is based on that, having had that conversation already,
Right.
and the 2.5,
So
like.
that 750 buffer.
Well, it won't be enough, and there won't be enough left in the DRF. It's about making some choices, and our recommendation is that we go with the 2,500. When it's gone, and the same thing will happen with the DRF. It will be gone.
Right. Sarah?
If people do apply to the YDF afterwards, are they just told that they can't apply, or are they able to apply to the DRF for it as well? No.
They'd be told that the funding's already allocated, I'd assume. Yeah.
Okay, but that they could, if the event's a wee way away, they could just apply in June. Or we could hold off any applications till June.
So you get a new financial funding year, which starts in July, but no funding will be allocated until September. So you will get a period of where there may not be any money.
We could, as a board, just choose to allocate in July, surely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'd be concerned about is kids vary and families vary in their ability to pay for things. And some families, this is a great extra, but they would be able to do the event anyway. But for some families, this is, make or break for doing some sort of trip and things. And so if there was an application that came in where the student or the young person might not be able to do the activity otherwise, or the family would really, really struggle, then I would quite like it brought to us, even if there's not kind of enough money left in some way. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not, most would be okay, but
yeah.
I just think you just need to be aware that if you're asking people to apply for an application when there's no money sitting in a fund, that is not really good practice from my perspective as a person doing an assessment.
Yeah.
But it might be that, if we've got $700 left, so the fund's still open and 3 or 4 people put applications in because it was open, but there's not enough.
Then that would be my recommendation. Then I would be assessing that from a assessing it
which
on the
one's
basis
most?
that there's
Okay.
only $700 left, then it would be based on 4 people applying for $700, and then the decision would have to sit in that space unless there was extenuating circumstances which
Yep.
was brought to attention. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. I'm happy to move the staff recommendation, and Tim second. Cool. All those in favour? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Oh, thanks for that, Heather. Thanks for that, Heather. So we've got come now to area report. Grace, is it when you're ready?
Well, you're pausing there, just a very minor thing, but the graffiti briefing, you actually were needing to move and second to note that you've received that. If you'd like to
Right.
do that. Yes, okay.
Do you have, Mel, do you want to stick in there? All those in favour? Anybody against that? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I've already filled out my pecuniary interest form, so yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the area report, Summer with Your Neighbours is underway, and you will be receiving the odd invitations to go and join communities doing things. We are in the process of organising the Edible and Sustainable Garden Awards. I've talked about that before, so I'm not going to talk about it again. Community and Youth Service Awards are open nominations. So please, board members, this is an opportunity for you to talk to the various people that you know in communities, and where you know of people who do great stuff for people and who people just never quite get round to putting in a nomination. So it would be really great if you can nudge and encourage and cajole the people that you know who know people doing great stuff, so that that we do reward them.
Sarah?
And we used to, the old board have a wee list that we got collated so we could see who'd had them in the past, just so we weren't encouraging. So if we're not quite sure if someone's had them, do we just maybe email Amy who can check before we nudge?
And we'll pull together the list so that Amy's got something to refer to. Yeah, Jane will. That was the royal we.
Yeah, it'd be good to maybe add it to a briefing that we just discussed that within the next opportunity for a briefing. Let's just discuss it as well, just if we've got any potentials.
Cool. So we'll put that into our team briefing.
Yep.
Slot.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. And Waltham Fair. So just reminding that that's this Saturday, 11 till 2. The team, the setup will start at 9. It's all ready to go, and it's at the school. And Children's Day was very sadly cancelled last weekend. So some of the prizes for the Waltham Fair are quite phenomenal.
We can't win any of those, can we?
No, sadly. So just remind you that we'll give you all a little stint on the stand, which is like, what do we love about Waltham and what would we like things to be? And the other activity that's we're in the process of pulling together is there's going to be a series of little wanted posters up around on the wall in the school grounds, saying, look out for this person, and a little card that people can pick up, and you'll all get given a stamp, your own personal stamp, and when they find you, you put your stamp on their card. And when they've got 5 board members and they've asked you a question or 2, they can then go into the draw for a prize.
Excellent. So just we have a quick straw poll of who's planning to go to that on Saturday. Oh, it's 6. That's good. Awesome.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool. Gosh, the people, yeah, cool. Board funding, that's all we've talked about that. And there's a number of things that have come back, people's report backs from their YDFs looking like that some people have had amazing time. And then a whole number of memos. I don't think there's anything in here that I think needs to really be pointed out, but I'll take questions.
Any questions? Cool. All right, Sarah's moving the report. We've got a seconder. I'll second. All those in favour? Against, abstentions carried. Excellent. All right. So on to elected members information exchange. I can kick off. Actually, does someone else want to kick off in particular? Sarah?
Yeah, because I've got a Sumner lifeboat thing coming up
Okay,
next.
yep,
I've
sure.
got to get home and then change and out to. So not a lot of actually community events that I've managed to get to because I've had lots of clashes and I've been at more civic kind of metropolitan stuff. But I'm getting a stack of local resident queries, and I didn't know if you wanted to hear about that. Like I'm just following up on them each, sometimes with Amy, sometimes through OCE. But in the last couple of weeks, land instability issue on Mount Pleasant, issues around the stockyards on Bridle Path Road, roadworks and access on Port Hills Road, rates, remissions and water rates, footpath damage, Charlesworth Reserve, block drains, Toby Leaks, and play space upgrade in Te Rako Reserve. So I'm getting information, the ones that are still open. Some I may end up bringing back to the board as things for us to take forward, but not much point till I've got all the info.
Cool. No, thanks, Sarah. Tim, did you want to go? Or?
Just the water rates and a couple about GVs and things like that, but that's all kind of been standard, and also complaints about we've got the runoff from the reservoir up on Hackthorne Road, so we're just pursuing that at the moment, but I haven't included Amy in all because that's kind of, you know, but yeah, the stuff we've gone over and over and over, so it's, yeah. But I will link in through Amy with regards to the results from the constant runoff from the hit reservoir by the kindergarten. I think it's just so everyone's aware of it.
Cool.
I think Melanie and I both attended the Hohapper breakfast on the 17th of February. Just a fantastic organisation. They are so resource there's they've got such a waiting list at the moment. I think they said around 160 people on the waiting list at the moment, and they are actually actively growing. Obviously they built those couple of new dwellings last year and they're building another one now. They're just they've got there's plenty of capacity to meet because they are so successful as an organisation. They've got a 31st of March, they're just going to do like a film night where they're looking back over the last close to 60 years. So elected members are invited and members of the community. So I think we're going to put it in the newsletter, which is great. But it's just, I think they're going to have an online portal that just recognises moments and people and characters in the community. So it's going to be, so they're going to have an online portal to start cataloguing the stories, the numerous stories that the way Hohapper have added to our community. So if you can make it on the 31st, please do. I'm also going to go to the Port Hills Trust event on Saturday after Walton. So I'm just going to bob into that at 3 o'clock as well. So just acknowledge the amount of volunteer hours that's gone into creating that small bridge. Small but important. So if you can attend that as well on Saturday at 3 o'clock, please do so. So that's the if you go to the end of Albert Terrace and you just look towards the left, you'll just see people just down there. So that's the position where the bridge is. So I hope to see you there if you can make it. Sorry.
Thanks, Lee.
Yeah, a few things. I attended a social meeting organised by the Sumner Bays Union Trust in Sumner. Very gentle thing. Colleague Will was there as well with his boy. And yeah, so that was good. The Coastal Pathway Group has held a series of information sessions, community drop-in ones over a couple of weeks. And they finished last week, and the overall feeling was of strong support, a lot of interest, a few small queries about traffic problems, a lot of concerns about crossing roads, and also a lot of positive feedback on plans to reduce speeds as a permanent thing around that area. Also, I've worked with Amy. Thank you for your help on weeds growing out from behind Cobb Cottage and occupying half the cycleway, so that cyclists have to duck into the road lane just where traffic's merging. What shocked me a bit was this was signalled as urgent by the person who originally brought it up and submitted, by myself in tickets, and by Amy, but it still hasn't been done yet, or it has just been done and I haven't seen it, but last time I looked. So it's been like that for a couple of weeks, and it's actually quite seriously risky. But I do acknowledge it's incredibly difficult to do because there's a giant fence, a row of weeds and a cycleway. So how do they get there and manage the traffic? But I was just, Amy, have you got anything to add?
Well, I was just gonna say that the last update was that a contractor was gonna attend to it ASAP. But yeah, I can follow up with staff again to get confirmation of when it's actually gonna be done.
Yeah, when I drove to come here, it still was not done.
Yeah.
All right. Kia?
Just the most recent one went along to the Westmoreland Residents Association and had a chat about the board plan, and particularly the board plan priorities that affect Westmoreland. They were had various thoughts to share about a range of things, including Plan Change 14. One thing was they did mention couldn't tell you exactly the name of the reserve, but it's by Penruddock Rise. There's a bridge, which I think is actually a parks asset, but has a lot of use by kids heading down to school. They've contacted myself, Lee and Tim, and I know, Tim, you've been chasing this one. So they just raised that as kind of an ongoing thing that they'd love to see that back, because it's, impacting obviously, could be particularly Westmoreland, because you have kids going down to Cashmere, but also Forrington. That's Westmoreland zones for Forrington, so it's actually quite an important connection for them. So, yeah.
Thanks, Kit. Oh, yeah. I'll put your mic on.
Yeah, just attending the sunflower competition prize giving. And I think next week's St. Patrick's Day, so I think the Irish Society will be going off on the Friday. I don't know, they're keeping it on the low, so just show up. There'll be a Guinness there for you. Also, next week's Tefano Tehi's 40th. So what to go under that.
Yeah, I'm excited for that too.
Well, yes, no, a good couple of weeks of community engagement. Going back to the Estuary Fest, I think take my hat off to everyone who did such a great job there. My kids certainly had a good time, and I know a lot of the kids from Redcliffe School were just a lot of engagement there for the whole community. Some of the Bayers Union Trust too was quite good for my child. He had a good time at the barbecue. He met an old digger from South Africa who's part of the, I don't know the exact name, but part of the group that goes swimming at 7 a.m. Scarborough Dippers. So I haven't been yet, but I will be. That will be my next community engagement, part of the Scarborough Dippers. I better write that down so I don't forget.
Right through winter.
Right through winter, and most of these guys are a little bit older than me, so I can't get out of it now. And Christchurch Street Garden Awards were great. Went out with Peter Lawrence, and very good. I think it's a great initiative. Saw some fabulous streets, ones that I wouldn't have seen otherwise. One guy was even waiting for us to come, which was nice. So I think he might win, although winners won't be announced till later in the month. And yeah, looking forward to the Waltham Fair and the Redcliffe's open day, the club open day this weekend. Yeah.
Thanks, Will.
I went to the Addington pancake evening, and that was great. Yeah, all the usual suspects were there at Church Square. The ANA Addington Neighbourhood Association had their regular monthly meeting. I always like to go to those. They had a visitor from the Bricketing Kilmarnock Residents Association, the head of the Plan Change 14 decision. So that was interesting, and it was Gareth's 50th birthday. And they had a cake, so that was nice. I had to get the candles, and then you were there. And the Hoonhay residents group will have that meeting on Tuesday, 4th of April, about traffic issues in Hoonhay, which they brought up with us. There's a man who keeps contacting me about a piece of land that needs mowing that's owned by CDHB by NX Road near Hillmorton Hospital, but I don't actually know. I'm doing that through OCA, but I don't know if anything else has happened with that. People have talked about congestion on Lincoln Road. I get random text messages. They're not people. They're not people that are happy with that. I talked with a guy as well who has a fear of dogs, and I didn't realize this till I finished talking with him how terrified of dogs he is, and he wanted parks that are dog free. And I told him to write a letter to us, and I think he will eventually. But his fear of dogs is that bad that when a dog is on a lead, and it was the day that the Princess Anne came for the thing in the square, and the police had dogs, and he said he couldn't walk down there because they had dogs on leads. It's that scared of them. So it was interesting to talk to someone like that. So it's something we should think about. The people that really have a fear, even if the dog's on the lead.
Yeah.
Across the road.
Perhaps we could nominate the estuary as a dog-free park.
I've had another email about the same location for crossing price, someone completely different to Vicky. So I've sent that through because she just gave permission for me to do that. And a big one over the weekend was Victor's Road and the leak. There's a water leak there, and you keep hearing about different ones. There's one on Maven Road where the leak keeps happening in the exact identical spot, like over and over and over. And we never really find out why is it happening over and over, and there'll be a reason, but we never hear what that reason is, and so residents just can't believe it. And that one in Victor's Road was so violent, whatever that leak was, it cut their power off. I don't even know how that even happens. So that's pretty bad. And then the one I got earlier today was the woman concerned about the weeds growing in Heathcote River by Pioneer, but we're going to wait to see if the contractors do the job and then see what to do.
Cool. So you went to the Addington Bush before the ANA AGM, along with Mel was at the ANA AGM, which was beautiful, even though it was a very wet day. Also went to the sunflower competition with Roy, which was awesome. We had the Chairs Forum this morning, so there was a couple of things I thought would be of interest to this board. So there is. We're getting a briefing soon, I think, from the team around the properties, the red zone properties that are, looking at disposal by council. There's a link to a map that's now live that we can use to find those properties and find all the information. You can sort of click each one and it'll come up with a big list of information about it, which would be helpful, I think, ahead of that meeting if you've got specific things in mind, which I'll email that out. As well as that, so Better Off funding. There's been an agreement signed recently with the DIA around Better Off funding, and it's looking like all of the community boards, including ours, will be getting $500,000 for us to spend on community strengthening. Likely that's going to be confirmed by end of March, but basically they're still working out the exact parameters of the criteria for how that money needs to be spent, because it's going to be quite prescriptive. So that the forum where those criteria will be determined will likely be the board chairs forum, just because it's kind of the right sized group to have that discussion. But I'm keen for any thoughts from this board around that as well, that I can feed through to that conversation. And, the person that we voted for the LGNZ executive, Simon Britton, got successfully elected. So, yeah. And that's my update. Cool. Alrighty. Should we do karakia mutunga? Oh, and just wondering after karakia, I was keen for just a very quick informal chat about how we want to run the briefing for the roundabout next week. All right. That's in here. Unahia ki te uru tapu nui, kia wātea, kia mama, te ngākau, te tinana, te wairua I te ara tangata, koia rā e rongo, whakairia ake ki runga, kia tina.